Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me as I explore the global wide world of pens. I haven't done a review like this for a while. Well, the Jinhao 100 was kind of that, but that was a replicate. So I like certain models. I like them a lot. And the Fuliwen 017, which you see an example here, is one that I've really enjoyed, and when there's a new color I certainly try to get it. And this is certainly a new color. This is how it was received in this cellophane with the snake on the outside. And as we take it out of the cellophane, some cellophane noise for those. We'll see what I think is a really amazing resin. We'll kind of explore it a little bit more. And of course that snake eyes are certainly a nice added feature. And it slips on there. Wouldn't call it a clip, but it certainly works as a roll stop. So I think this now needs a crab and a turntable. And here we go with a working crab holding up this very nice Fuliwen 017 and a new resin. Flame red certainly is in the red family. And I think it looks good on the turntable. And that little snake accessory item certainly does it justice. Let's zoom in a little bit on that resin and see how much we can pick up some of the nuances of the resin. And there are a lot. As we come in there, Mr. Crab is certainly working overtime today. We'll see all those nice colors and how they change. There's a little bit of pearlescence, and I wouldn't call it chatoyancy, and there's very little transparency, but it's certainly a color and a resin that I like. And Mr. Crab is having a good time doing his duty and holding up this beautiful looking pen for your visual entertainment. So let's explore the Fuliwen 017. This snake just slides off. It's easily adjusted, so you can increase the amount of pressure that it puts on the cap, but it'll never work as a clip in my mind. But visually, I like it, and you can take it off, so you can take it or leave it. The cap comes off in 1, 2, almost 3 turns, certainly 2 3/4, and we'll see a very, very nice section. A nice number 6 Fuliwen steel medium nib. A ubiquitous injection molded feed. We'll adjust that later. This pen fits nice in the hand as is. The section is a good size. The threads aren't sharp. That step up is not something that's going to influence it, but with that number 6 nib, that's kind of like the sweet spot for me to hold it. It's a relatively light pen. It does post. It makes for a long pen, and you do feel that cap. It's not totally secure, but for those that like to post, this is certainly a pen that you could post, and it will work fine. So I think we need to come up with an ink to put into this pen, and I just have, I think, the perfect ink, and it's a new ink, so we'll get to experience it for the first time together. Here we have the Fuliwen 017 disassembled, and this is as far as I'm going to take it for this video. I could pull the nib and feed out, but no need to do that. I would do that if I was cleaning out the pen to change inks, but since this has not been inked yet, I did flush it, my normal process of any new pen. We're going to explore the resin with the LED light. But here's your classic, I would call low-end converter. They work. You know, it has a little plastic ball in there to potentially agitate the ink. Never really worked well for me. One of the things that I find not to my liking, but I understand why, is the way that this nib assembly is inserted into the section and is held in by this metal tube with threads on it that match up to the back of the nib assembly. So I guess it's easy to take apart, and also I guess from an assembly viewpoint, manufacturing viewpoint, I can understand why they do that. So I think one of the things that we may notice is sometimes these are glued in, and that may also explain why in a situation like this, and that is a nice fit there, they want to keep it assembled. Just a thought. You may say, how's that nib assembly compare to other Chinese nib assemblies? Well, it doesn't. There's a Moon Man, there's a Jin Hao. They all look similar. They're all number 6 size nibs, or 35 millimeter. But the threading is all different. They're just a different design. So this is probably an in-house type of design and not something that's shopped out to a job shop that may just make these collars like I think the converters are made. Now we just have a small amount of diffuse sunlight coming in, which makes the LED, I think, more effective in showing off this, I think, is great resin. Amazing amount of swirly colors there. As with all the Fuliwen 017s that I have, and I do have a few, they're very well made, nice construction, and again there's that reduced section. I had to switch LEDs because the other LED was just flaking out on me. There is some transparency to the resin, as you can see. Not a lot. I'd say it's fairly opaque, and the light doesn't fit into the barrel. But I just really like this resin, as I do all the 017 resins. So here I have my 5 Fuliwen 017s, and these are in chronological order. The first one I got was Starry Night, and then Blue Danube, purple one, and this one, which I don't know what I would call it, but it's in a similar type of resin like the red resin, but just a different set of colors. As we can see, there's that black line in both of these. You know, I think Jonathan Brooks would be comfortable with these resins, considering these pens are around $25. And sometimes you get the snake, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you order the snake separately, but I haven't seen that recently. I think we just need to focus in on these 3 at the end. But I just find that the way that resin is done to be very nice, very attractive, and unique in my collection of pens, which is a hard thing to be. So what ink did I select? Well, it's Writer's Blood, a new diamine ink. A local pen thing had it, and so I told him I'd like to have a small bottle. I don't think I wanted a big bottle. Here's the color card. It's certainly a dark burgundy, Merlot color. I don't see any sheen in that glob I put down there. I think the ink is supposed to have some sheen, but it's certainly an intense dark color. I wouldn't call it in the blood family, but that's just mine. I mean, my blood is a brilliant red. It's a very pure color. You know, some shades of that, of red, some darkness, a little bit of water resistance. But really, the important thing is, how does it look when I put it into that Fuliwen 017 medium nib and write on paper? Coming up next. So these bottles have a very small opening, and I would say this is somewhat on the large size. It fits in, but not all the way. So when I give you the large dimension on this section, that's a little bit bigger than the opening diameter in that bottle. But I was able to get a really full fill, so I'm happy. We're going to clean everything off and test that nib a little bit, and then be back and show you how it writes. Well, we're ready for the writing sample. Spoiler alert, it writes great. Many viewers have said, give me a link to how I could buy a pen. So in the video description, I put a link into an eBay search for Fuliwen 017. To me, that's the best way of finding pens that are currently for sale. When you get to search results, you can search on low price, you can search on recently listed. It gives you a couple options on what you can do. So I think I pretty much have examples of all the colors. Here are some that I found still for sale on eBay. They're also being sold on Amazon for a very similar price, and you can get prime delivery, which is pretty amazing. And I guess if I would have known that, I may have bought this on Amazon instead of eBay, and then it would have arrived within a few days rather than a few weeks. It wasn't that long a delivery. Here's the shipping from the eBay auction. And it's also sold on Etsy. Looks like Easy Buy is the main seller on Etsy, and the pricing is very comparable. So you have many options if this is a pen that intrigues you, or a pen that you might want to hold in your hand and use it to put ink on paper. That cap does come off with quite a number of turns, more than it should. I would say that's definitely a single threaded operation. We'll give you the size of this section. It fits nicely in the hand. I'm very comfortable with holding this pen. Works for long writing sessions. We'll give you the weights. And it doesn't really post that well, but it can post if that's something that you want to do. And like I say, it comes off relatively easily. We'll give you the lengths, because those lengths are nice. I would say this is close to an oversized pen, but I certainly do enjoy the ergonomics of the design. This nib is very smooth. And very wet. You can see how close that feed is to the end of the nib. It's a little bit more centered, but not critical the way it writes. This is the best Fuliwen medium I've ever used. Maybe this writer's blood is a very, very wet ink. I need an ink guy to tell me what the viscosity is. It dries pretty quickly, and it kind of dries to really kind of a matte finish. I find it interesting, very nice. It's certainly a bold ink, and it works unbelievably well in this Fuliwen 017 with the medium nib. So let's rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.7. So it gets one check for the look, design, the build. All those features are really very good in this pen, as good as any pen turned acrylic that I have. And that nib's going to get 2 checks. There's a lot of people that might say it's too wet. It's really almost a medium to a broad in the line width, but hey, I like it. It's my rating, so it gets a 9.7. This was an easy review to do. It's nice when you get a review that just everything works great. You got a beautiful instrument to talk about, and when you finally put nib to paper, you go, wow. So, home run. Hit the ball out of the ballpark. It is baseball season here in the United States. So I want to thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I hope you find pens that you love to write with, you love to look at, you love to hold in your hand. Again, a trifecta. May this video find you safe, healthy, and happy, and putting some ink on paper. Fun part. If you've reached the end of this video, that pen starts up right away. No, you don't need any pressure to write with this one. And that's a joy. It's going to be bye until the next video. Going to be a lot of letters written with this pen.